6.
On World News Tonight this Tuesday, the president says that bombing Iraq would make things tougher for Saddam Hussein. We'll take a closer look at what's tough. She went to the Naval Academy. Now she'll go to prison for killing the girl who had a one-night stand with her boyfriend. And maybe sunscreen does not do what you think it does to prevent skin cancer. Now what?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, Tuesday, February 17th. This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. Now it's going to be the United Nations Secretary General himself who will go to Baghdad and try to talk Saddam Hussein into playing by the rules. And if he cannot, well, when President Clinton made a big speech today about what he thinks is at stake for the United States, he spoke from the Pentagon, location noted. One way or the other, Mr. Clinton and Saddam Hussein are getting closer to the end game. We're going to begin in Washington with ABC's Sam Donaldson tonight. Sam, it sounded tough from the president today.
It was, Peter. President Clinton laid it on the line today. If military force is to be avoided, it is Saddam Hussein who will have to blink. The president came to the Pentagon for a closed-door briefing from the military chiefs on the plans for an attack. Then in a speech there, pointedly introduced as the commander-in-chief, Mr. Clinton made the case against Saddam.
His regime threatens the safety of his people, the stability of his region, and the security of all the rest of us.
The president recalled that when the Gulf War ended, the Iraqis agreed to reveal within 15 days all their weapons of mass destruction. To this day, he said, they have not done so, harassing inspectors and hiding weapons. And now they've denied access to some locations. And that, said the president, they must not be allowed to get away with.
Iraq must agree, and soon, to free, full, unfettered access to these sites anywhere in the country.
Saddam must, he said, comply with UN mandates.
If he accepts them, force will not be necessary. If he refuses or continues to evade his obligations through more tactics of delay and deception, he, and he alone, will be to blame for the consequences.
The president said the purpose of a military strike would be to reduce and diminish Iraq's capacity to threaten its neighbors. He conceded
a military operation cannot destroy all the weapons of mass destruction capacity, but it can and will leave him significantly worse off than he is now. Force can never be the first answer, but sometimes it's the only answer.
the president laid no deadline down, set no timetable. But in talking about the need for Iraq to agree to full unfettered access, the president used the word, as you'll note, soon. And in looking ahead to a military strike, the president said he couldn't guarantee that everything would be destroyed. But he said in so many words, we will be prepared to strike him again. All in all, Peter, it was a very tough, uncompromising speech.
Indeed it was, Sam. We'll talk a little bit about it later in the broadcast. Thank you very much. But diplomacy has raised its head again this evening. Question is, will it succeed? In Baghdad, Saddam Hussein said today he would make a serious and legitimate effort to ensure that if and when UN Secretary General Kofi Annan visits Baghdad, he would be successful at diffusing the conflict, provided, said Hussein, the Secretary General comes with an open mind. Here in New York today, Mr. Annan has been talking all day with the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. ABC's David Ensor is at the UN at the moment. David, I guess the first question is whether or not the United States is nervous at all about Mr. Annan going.
The officials I've spoken to today, Peter, are decidedly nervous. They're uneasy. Kofi Annan doesn't work for the United States. He works for the whole United Nations. They want him to understand, and they've tried to make sure he did today, that he has very little room for maneuver. Ambassador Bill Richardson said today the U.S. reserves the right to disagree if the conclusion of Annan's trip is inconsistent with UN resolutions or with American national interests. That's a polite diplomatic way of giving a pretty blunt warning not to freelance.
I wonder, in a phrase, whether the Secretary General feels there are any restrictions on him.
Well, he doesn't work for the United States, and that's why Washington is, of course, nervous. But they have told Annan that the only flexibility they can offer is what they call a gesture, and that's that if Saddam will allow all the sites inspected, including the presidential ones, they would allow diplomats to accompany those arms inspectors.
Okay, David, thanks so much. David Ensor at the United Nations. The president says he is going to make things a lot tougher for Saddam Hussein. You heard it in our first report. Later in the broadcast, we will take a closer look at whether attacking Iraq really would make things worse. Other major news today in Washington, the grand jury hearing testimony about the alleged Lewinsky affair and possible cover-up convened again after the long weekend. Today they heard the retired Secret Service officer Louis Fox give testimony. He left in a crowd of reporters, but he didn't talk to the press. At the White House today, there were interesting comments from the president's spokesman, Mike Curry. He told the Chicago Tribune, this is going to end up being a very complicated story, as most human relationships are, and I don't think, he said, it's going to be entirely easy to explain, maybe. He was asked about that at the White House briefing today.
Are
you in the doghouse over that interview, Mike?
Not that they've told me, but I put myself in my own doghouse for having answered questions that I should have answered.
Now, other news. In Texas today, a very closely watched trial has come to an end. Diane Zamora, former midshipman at the U.S. Naval Academy, was found guilty of murdering a girl who had a one-night stand with her fiancé, David Graham, who later went on to the Air Force Academy. He faces trial on the same charges later this year. Zamora tried but failed to hold Graham solely responsible for the murder. And with the details of today, here's ABC's Terry Moran.
Diane Zamora entered court this morning to hear the judge read the jury's verdict, which came after 7.5 hours of deliberation.
We, the jury, find the defendant Diane Michelle Zamora guilty of the offense of capital murder as alleged in the indictment.
The judge immediately handed down the mandatory sentence.
Your punishment is hereby set at life in prison.
She will not be eligible for parole for 40 years. The family of the victim, 16-year-old Adrian Jones, who was bludgeoned and shot to death, tried to express their loss.
We will never know what heights she would have risen to because of this animal act.
And when she died, something was ripped out of my heart that will never be replaced.
Zamora's father spoke out in support of her.
I believe in Diane, we love her, and we'll continue doing that.
Prosecutor Mike Parrish, who will also try the case against David Graham later this year, said that the victim had as bright a future as Zamora and Graham.
She was as special as they were, and the two of them decided she could not be. And that's just inconceivable.
In the end, this case boiled down to the testimony of the defendant herself. And one juror has told ABC News that it was Zamora's own words on the stand which clinched the case against her, saying she hung herself. Terry Moran, ABC News, Fort Worth, Texas.
In just a moment, we'll go on to the day's other news. There's a new study about sunscreen. It keeps you from getting a sunburn, but that may turn out to be the problem. And, yes, Olympic gold for the U.S. women's hockey team.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by AT&T.
Matt, got your email. Vancouver? Genius. Passed it on to Epps. He's running it through the Northwest.
Hey, Matt. Idea's a hit in the Northwest. I've got purchasing checking suppliers.
You want it up top. Client briefing. Your Vancouver idea.
Want to take your business to the next level?
Oh, my head. Maybe it's time for Bayer. Bayer relieves your tough headaches, and taken regularly, Bayer can help save your life. Ask your doctor. Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
Nobody does it like you.
A revolving brush or 5 rotating brushes, a manual hand tool or one powered with 2 more brushes. The choice is easy.
Nobody
Steam Vac Ultra
does it like you.
In Philadelphia today, a doctor from one of the country's leading cancer centers, Sloan Kettering, has been challenging what many Americans believe about wearing sunscreen. Dr. Marianne Berwick says that sunscreen may actually encourage skin cancer. With more, here's ABC's George Strait.
Lathering on lots of sunscreen may help prevent sunburns, but the new study says probably not skin cancer.
The hope has been that sunscreens will protect us from death from melanoma. But if you evaluate the evidence, as I just did, you'll find that we simply don't know.
Sunscreens may not filter enough of the types of radiation that cause skin cancer. Dr. Berwick worries that people who use them may have a false sense of security. But other skin cancer specialists say the findings are premature.
Here's where you had the melanoma.
And if misinterpreted, could put millions of people at risk.
I'm afraid that people are going to take a message here saying that they should throw their sunscreen away and run to the beach. And I think that that would be a tragedy.
About all the two sides agree on is people at high risk for skin cancer should not rely on sunscreen for complete protection. George Strait, ABC News, Washington.
Other news, the spacecraft Voyager has set a new record. As of today, it has gone farther than any other man-made object before it. Voyager 1 is now 6.5 billion miles away from Earth. It's been flying for 21 years now. NASA says it could go maybe 20 more. President Clinton says today that attacking Iraq would make things difficult for Saddam Hussein. The question is, how difficult? We'll take a closer look.
You were going to try the patch, but you didn't. You were going to try the gum. You didn't. And you're still smoking. It's time to see your doctor about totally different ways to help you quit. Not a patch, not a gum, but prescription medicine that can help separate you from your cigarettes. Ask your doctor or call 1-888-959-STOP and finally break free from smoking.
You're not eating oatmeal?
This is oatmeal.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's toasted oatmeal. Toasted, crunchy.
You're putting the oatmeal in the toaster?
No, I don't toast the oatmeal. Quaker toasts the oatmeal. Quaker toasted oatmeal.
It's pre-toasted.
Quaker toasted oatmeal. Delicious flakes of toasted oatmeal with crunchy clusters of honey-sweetened oats. It's your other oatmeal.
They should call this Quaker Tasty Oatmeal.
We'll write a letter.
Play the Quaker Academy Awards game. Win a trip to Hollywood or one of 10,000 other prizes from Planet Hollywood.
You won!
The U.S. Postal Service, with new automated systems from Lockheed Martin, is speeding the delivery of billions of pieces of mail and the occasional birthday present from Uncle Will. Interestingly, Lockheed Martin is also building America's next generation of fighter planes, which means we not only help deliver the present, but the future.
At Ragu, we've always figured the trick to making a delicious pasta sauce is to start with tomato. Add some spices, and then a touch of Parmesan. But then we said, why not start with a cheese? Introducing new Ragu roasted garlic Parmesan sauce. We took real Parmesan cheese and kissed it with a touch of roasted garlic. And the tomato? Just toss it in the salad. New Ragu roasted garlic Parmesan sauce. It's the best thing to happen to pasta since the tomato.
As you saw at the beginning of the program, the president was over at the Pentagon today talking about some of the options to deal with Saddam Hussein. Incidentally, he may not be talking out loud about all of the options, but it is very clear that getting rid of the Iraqi leader or getting at his weapons of mass destruction program is a whole lot easier to talk about than it is to do. We're going to take a closer look tonight because the president did say today that if it comes to a U.S. attack, the Iraqi dictator would be, and these are the president's words, significantly worse off than he is now. First, the mission, according to the Pentagon. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
The first wave of any airstrike would be unmanned cruise missiles and F-117 stealth fighter bombers. It would come at night, ideally in the days near February 26, when the night sky is the darkest because of a new moon. Then, an assault from carrier-based aircraft supplemented by bombers based on land, as many as 400 missions per day. Pentagon sources say they have 3 basic war plans. The shortest could be over in 4 days, the longest in several weeks. During the Gulf War, U.S. pilots were just learning how to use a new generation of smarter weapons. Air crews now practice with little else.
The release is going to be at 10 nautical miles.
They expect extraordinary accuracy.
Railroad in the tunnel. Primary target will look to put the bomb right through the tunnel.
In the Gulf War 7 years ago, clouds and smoke blinded many smart bombs. The newest weapons now, guided by satellites, fly through it. Targets in Iraq will demand such precision to limit civilian casualties. Intelligence sources say those targets include factories and laboratories that could be used to make poison gas or germ weapons. Some are in populated neighborhoods, pharmaceutical plants, breweries, and even dairies. Other targets, Saddam Hussein's secret police and intelligence operations, and his elite military guards. Even buildings within some of Saddam's presidential sites are being considered, such as this one photographed by British reconnaissance planes, where there is at least one suspected underground command bunker.
U.S. military leaders concede that dropping bombs may not bring Saddam Hussein to his knees, but they do believe that air attacks will punish a segment of Iraqi society close to Saddam that does not normally feel that kind of pain. Peter?
Thanks very much, John McCarthy of the Pentagon. But what about after the attack? That's the rub for the administration, the day after. Question: however intense the bombing campaign, what does the U.S. do then? For one thing, it's simply assumed that Iraqi civilians are going to die. How does the Clinton team deal with the reaction to that? And will a bombing campaign really take out Saddam Hussein's weapons program? We were talking this afternoon to our military analyst for the region, Tony Cordesman. Tony, why do we think there's a day after problem?
His forces are still going to be largely intact. He'll still be there. Most of his security services will still be there. And some of his capability to proliferate will still be there.
How do we know any of the above?
He's got a vast military machine we couldn't destroy with 40,000 strikes the last time. We'll be lucky to have 2,000 this time. And there are 100,000 people in his security services, and they're scattered in hundreds of facilities.
Do we actually know what it is we're looking for, and even vaguely where?
We know that there are at least 90 sites, production plants that he could use to make weapons of mass destruction. The basic technology, the people that know it, can't be destroyed. A lot of the equipment is very small for biological weapons, and in an economy this big, much of the production capacity in the civilian sector is still going to remain.
And here is what might make it worse. If the U.S. attacks, the world is likely to lose its ability to monitor Iraq's weapons of mass destruction program. In Baghdad, ABC's Sheila McVicker.
On any given day, there are more than 100 UN inspectors in Iraq. They are still combing through files and warehouses, looking for evidence of Iraq's weapons programs.
They're still doing useful things. They're not doing everything that they could be doing that will be useful, but they're still achieving some useful things.
At more than 100 sites around the country, like this chicken feed factory suspected of being part of Iraq's biological weapons program, there are UN cameras constantly watching. Thousands of pieces of equipment with both civilian and military use have been tagged and are checked regularly. The UN also uses chemical samplers and helicopter surveillance flights. UN officials warn that their entire mission is at risk if military strikes begin and the inspectors are forced to leave.
If they are actually expelled, and that means the headquarters that they've set up in Baghdad is removed as well, and presumably then all the equipment they've set up for monitoring, all the cameras, then it's going to be almost impossible for them to get back in.
If there are no UN inspectors here, no long-term monitoring, it will be impossible to know what Iraq is up to. Impossible to know if Iraq has reactivated its capacity to manufacture weapons of mass destruction. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, Baghdad.
That's a pretty depressing picture, and you get it in a variety of places. So let's go back to the White House. Sam Donaldson, if the picture is that depressing in so many quarters, remind us again why the president thinks it's worth it?
Well, Peter, there are no great options, but they're convinced here that letting Saddam get away with it is the worst one possible. So they're going to strike. As Jack McCarthy says, they're going to go after Saddam from the air. If they don't get him, though, they're convinced that doing something in this case is far better than doing nothing, militarily, and from the standpoint of maintaining the credibility of the United States and the Clinton administration, absolutely imperative.
Okay, Sam, thanks very much. Sam Donaldson at the White House, our closer look for tonight. When we come back, we'll have other news, including a question about class size in school. Is smaller really better?
Hey, San Francisco, show us your feet.
I have corns. They hurt.
Will you show me your corn?
No!
Don't be shy.
This'll help. Dr. Scholl's Cushland Gel Corn Remover. Nothing relieves pain faster or removes corns quicker.
Feels great.
I feel no pain at all.
Going dancing in these shoes.
You think you can maybe do a pirouette for me?
I need to feel strong.
I need 65 more years with him.
I need
to-do-si-do.
One-A-Day knows we all need something different to feel our best. Because women need more calcium, there's One-A-Day Women's Formula.
I need a zookeeper.
Our men's formula has more B vitamins, and we added more vitamin C and D to One-A-Day 50 Plus.
I need to break 100.
Feel your best. Take your One-A-Day. It's just what you need.
Yeehaw!
This is Dusty. She's a mighty dog. What makes her so mighty? New prime cuts and pate from Mighty Dog. The food that's made with the perfect balance of nutrients to meet her special energy needs. Tender chunks of beef and gravy over a thick layer of pate. It's two great tastes in one can. Your dog will love it. New prime cuts and pate, only from Mighty Dog.
Eileen Smith, Staples manager, passionate about low prices, never suspecting that just across town lived her identical twin, Stella, office manager, separated at birth. Then came the day that was bound to happen.
Excuse me, how much is this hole puncher? 79 cents. I don't believe it. Just 79 cents? That's amazing!
I know, isn't it great?
Yeah!
For guaranteed low prices and a full-service copy and print center, it's Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
Multigrain Cheerios. I love these.
This is new Multigrain Cheerios Plus.
Plus what?
We added 100% of 10 vitamins and minerals.
Mm-hmm.
New Multigrain Cheerios Plus.
I love them. Now don't you go change it.
In Seattle today, the Secretary of Education, Richard Riley, delivered his annual address on the state of American education. One of the things Mr. Riley focused on, as the President had done in his State of the Union, was the goal to reduce the size of the average class. ABC's Michelle Norris has been investigating this. She discovers that in and of itself, class size isn't everything.
In fast-growing communities like Naperville, Illinois, meeting the White House plan to require smaller classes poses a significant challenge. It's a great idea on its surface. The reality is that how do we pay for it? To get down to 18 students per class, Graham Elementary School calculates that it would need 8 new teachers and 8 new classrooms. Total price, almost $1 million. And only a small part of that would be paid for by the federal government.
Cutting class size is one of those proposals that has universal appeal. It only makes sense that smaller classes would give students more time with their teachers. But states that have already cut class size have found that it's not a cure-all. In fact, it can create new headaches.
In Nevada, they spent millions to reduce class size, but test scores remained flat and in some cases dropped. Some students are still in crowded classrooms. They've just divided them in groups with different teachers. And when California cut class size 2 years ago, the state had to hire 21,000 uncertified teachers. Still, many teachers are convinced that smaller classes do make a difference.
They get to know me, I get to know them, and when you know them and they trust you, they can learn.
But without a lot of money and an army of new teachers, smaller is not necessarily better. Michelle Norris, ABC News, Las Vegas.
In a moment, some heroic young women, but first let's hear it for the elderly. In Britain today, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, 97 years old, walked out of the hospital with her new hip. When we come back, for the first time ever, a gold medal in women's ice hockey, and it goes to the United States.
You see coffee. At Sprint, we see data. Data from the field that works to project the future and allows access to information that helps people work together to achieve results on a global scale. A rich, robust blend of data that business relies on every day. Because business runs on data, and data runs on Sprint.
When painful gas makes me feel like this, I take a little pill that looks like this.
Gas-X Soft Gels. As much gas medicine as this much Mylanta. Concentrated for fast relief. Try extra strength Gas-X Soft Gels.
Speed demons. Rippers. Gravity defiers. Stark, raving maniacs.
Obviously, a group in need of professional help. Schwab is the investment firm of the U.S. ski team.
Where will you be when your pain reliever stops working and your arthritis pain comes back? Only Aleve can stop your arthritis pain all day long with just 2 pills. No other pain reliever can do that. Aleve, the only relief, is all-day relief.
As cops, they've seen it all. As a couple, they've never been through anything as emotional as this.
What's going on?
I feel like I'm getting a bug.
Diane?
Can I be by myself? I'm sorry.
New Blue, ABC Tonight. Viewer discretion advised.
Finally from us this evening, gold for the women. There's never been a women's hockey before, gold medal before. At first, the American women were not expected to do very well, and then they got rolling. Here's ABC's John Frankel.
In Nagano, it was a great day to be an American woman.
I guess we're making history right now.
Julian scores! The U.S. women opened the scoring against heavily favored Canada and never looked back.
A centering pass and a goal!
In the third period, 2-0.
Wait for the empty net! Goal!
And when it was over, there was a moment at center ice which reminded so many of another Olympics, Lake Placid in 1980, and another Team USA.
You know, it's bizarre because you watched it so many times as a kid, and you know, that's the way we feel right now.
And that's the way they were feeling in America today, in places such as Providence, Rhode Island, where they watched it all this morning and tried to imagine where women's hockey goes next.
It's one of those things, it's like, Mom, I want to do that and I want to be there.
In 1990, 5,000 women were registered with U.S. Hockey. Today, almost 24,000 are playing the game, and a gold medal can only make this sport grow.
Winning the gold in Nagano gives all the little girls out there who idolize Cammy Granato or Karen Bai, it gives them a new goal to shoot for.
The Olympics were once the end of the road for women in sports. There were no professional leagues for them to move on to. But women in hockey note the Olympics helped women basketball players get a league of their own, and they want one too. 6 of these gold medalists hope to play pro hockey in a new women's league next fall. Whatever its fate, if there was ever a day to contemplate professional women's hockey, today was the day. John Frankel, ABC News.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline later this evening. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
You're about to experience a power surge when we pump out 2 home improvements starting at 8/7 Central.
Double your power, double your fun.
Then, sometimes a child left alone can make all the wrong choices.
Well, there's been an accident. It's Andy.
And a father has to face the guilt. An all-new powerful soul man. ABC.